Hi everyone, welcome to first episode of FinFlow's podcast. We have with us Aarihant today. He's the CEO and founder of Big Business app. Uh, if you want to talk about big business for like 2 minutes, then you can say something. What is big business exactly?
Hey Aryan, super glad to be here. Thank you for inviting to the FinFlow's podcast. I know you haven't decided a name yet, but I'll assume it's called as FFP FinFlow Podcast. Yeah, I've been leading this company for 13 months now. We started in July 2020. Back then, the story. See, I never wanted to start up. I never want to become an influencer or a content writer. To be precise, I always wanted to make an impact in whichever field I am. That was something I was excited for. And in July 2020, me and my team were building a full stack business management app because we saw a lot of gap there because there's no one stop solution for all businesses to manage their business, right? So we started planning around that and we started talking to customers. And there's a funny incident happened that my brother, since there was a huge demand for medical equipment, trading was super high. Trading was going very well of those medical equipments at super high prices and super high profit margins. So my brother told dad, "Why don't I start this business? Give me just $30,000 and I'll sort it out." Apparently, he found a buyer, and now he wanted to find a seller, right? So he started looking after all the platforms in the world, and he got on a repetitive platform which is listed in a stock exchange also. And he got a seller there. He spoke with him. They made a transaction by this and around 30,000 rupees, and it's been 13 months. The guy is like just gone, right? And the funniest part was he did send his all GST and registration numbers, and they were completely true, but it didn't belong to him. So like it was, the frauds were like super high, right? And they are sending documents of other businesses and then taking and doing their own scams. So that was a pivot point for the company. And then we started wandering on this problem. We spoke to around 400 plus customers, industry experts, so on and so forth. Then we understood, because we live in a low trust society, no one has an identity, right? So we thought, okay, let's build an identity for businesses which is called as B score now, and let it be based on the business behavior. We'll not check your documents, we'll not check any other thing in the world, we'll just give you score based on your behavior. And when I say behavior, it's not only financial, but let's say you file your GSTs, or let's say you send invoices, or you get great feedback. We'll give you a score for that. And once you get the PAR score, you have your identity there. You can link it to your merchant accounts or payment accounts or local directory apps and flaunt to the society that you're trustworthy. And of course, there are a lot of benefits after you go through the 750 plus B score. But this is something we have planned. It took us like 6 months to build the concept and talk to people, and we still talk to our customers, right? And it
Yeah,
took us like 7 months to build the app, and we're going to launch in another 40 days.
nice one. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, and your wait list is out too. Like you can do that
Yeah.
shameless plugin. But
Yeah.
can you explain in very simple terms, like you're explaining to a 5-year-old? That's the famous marketing thing people say.
Yeah.
So what is B
Apparently,
score? B score. What is B
yeah.
score?
B score is just like a CIBIL score. It's the foundation is same, but the parameters and how it's built is super modern
CIBIL
age.
score is basically credit score.
Yeah, CIBIL score is
Credit
basically
score.
credit score,
Yeah,
right? B score is for businesses. They have the same foundation, but they have different parameters and how it comes. And there's a lot of transparency added to it,
yeah.
and also there are a lot of opportunities added to B score as well. So as simple as it is.
Perfect, perfect. Uh, it's basically a metric to detect fraudulent businesses. Actually, not fraudulent, uh, trustworthy businesses. If you are
Yeah,
trustworthy and you do good business, you get a good B score, and more people would like to do good business with you, right? Uh,
exactly, right? Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. So now, okay, I got that cleared here, but what will like how I see it, like obviously I know your business from a very long time. How I see it, this can literally change the business the business landscape of India. Like seriously, imagine not being firstly you're not going to a person who does fraud that's there. But secondly, you increase your transactions. Uh, you don't think you don't think twice before like going to a business and doing anything. That's great. And there's also a tax thing, right? So if you pay your taxes on time, you get a good
yeah.
discount.
Yeah, exactly, right. And see, you saying that it might change the landscape of how business is made in our country. I also believe the same, and our team does believe the same. Because we have seen how our customers have suffered over the years, right? Digitalization has made things more tough for them. because
Yeah.
like most of the people in our country are not great at marketing, right? They are not great at convincing people, but they need an identity. So that's what we're building. And one of the funniest stat is that 56% of educated internet consumers are victim of business fraud. Educated, like when I say educated, they're well enough.
Right. 56%. That's a lot. Um,
Yeah.
and you did a poll, like how many of you have gone through a business fraud? What was the result?
So I'll tell you why we do a poll, right? We have an influencer in our team. He has around like 22,000 followers on LinkedIn, I assume. So we said, okay, like you write content, people are liking it, that's super great. Let's do a poll every week and understand the pulse of the audience and understand the perspective, right? It's never you have to go and talk to your customer every day. You can take a large sample by asking questions, and once they give the poll, then the answers will make sense to you. And we have used it to make some of our important decisions in the company as well. So we said, okay, how many of you are victims of online business frauds? So we said yes, no. Another option was I know someone, right? And around 1,500 people voted for that. 44% of the people said I'm a victim of online business fraud. 22% of people said, bro, I know someone's story. And now what people think is, bro, like if the problem is super serious, there has to be 80-90% of people, right? It
Yeah.
will not be eventually, because if there are 80-90 people percent of people being victim, the economy will not be stable. There'll be a
Right.
huge downfall of economy and business in our country.
Yep.
So we're just halfway there.
And that's still huge, man. I mean, if 44% are facing business frauds, that's not a good business doing country. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I come from a family that from my maternal side, they're businessman, and my nanu is a businessman, and
Yeah.
I understand this because like he used to do business from other cities, right? He used to
Yeah.
go to another city and get his
Yeah.
business. Like he used to sell scooter or autos parts. Okay.
Uh-huh.
Now he used to get order, right? He used to come back to Delhi and ship it. After he shipped it, it used to take so long for them to pay the amount, and
Yeah.
that's a big problem in India. And now, if this can be done, I'm talking about 1960s, 1970s, even 2000s, almost like starting of 2000. And if this can be changed, right? Uh, I mean, like you'll be a unicorn for sure in about I don't know the timeline, but you're going to be a unicorn soon. And like when you come back, we'll talk about that unicorn part too. Um,
So see, the unicorn part is something super funny for me as an individual, because when I started the startup, I didn't know what was unicorn. Trust me, I didn't know what was fundraise. I didn't know what is Series A, seed, or pre-seed to be precise. I didn't know what is MVP. Right, the only definition I knew was ROI. But deep in my heart, it was always to solve this problem, and it was money. It was not money which was driving us eventually. And this is what even I say in the company: money is the last thing we talk in the company. How much revenue we are going to make, or what is the net profit going to be? That's the last thing we talk in the company. And another interesting point which you said, right, about your maternal side family, there's the same thing happening right now also. A few months back, my friends like Rohit, who's setting the tech in the company, his dad wanted to start his new phase of life, starting his own business. He took around 2 to 3 weeks to find one seller who gives him the cloth, and a great guy, right? And you're still, and here in our country we have around 400 million internet users, where every other startup is becoming a unicorn, and still people are going through the same old problems. So that's a problem to be solved. And many important exports, if you believe or not, happens when you go and meet that person in another country. It never happens by an audio call or video call.
right.
Exports at a large scale with other countries' businesses. And we also believe B score is the right solution for second world and third world countries.
Right. Because most of the third world countries are low on trust.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. When we spoke about unicorns, you had a Twitter space about unicorns.
Yeah.
And you don't have an aspiration to become a unicorn. Of course, you want big business to do well. You want
Yes.
this B score concept to be everywhere, but you don't
Yeah.
have those kind of aspirations, right? Uh,
This is what I tell, right? Metrics suck. The same metric for unicorn, what was 20 years ago, is the same now. Metrics haven't changed. Inflation is going crazy. Still, the metric for unicorn is you to become $1 billion. Why? Why don't you change the metric? Where the value of currency is falling immensely, and the amount of currency being printed is super high. Why do you want to keep the metric same?
Yeah.
And the thing I've realized over the last few years is whenever you try to chase labels or namings, you don't tend to get that. That's the same with money. That's how money works, right? You chase money, you don't get money. You chase love, you don't get love, right?
Right.
So my aspiration is to create value, right? Create an impact, create a difference, and then we might get funded, or we might become a unicorn, decacorn, any other damn thing in the world will be only because we have made an impact. And building a unicorn after after raising so much capital, like so many rounds, and you haven't made any impact, bro, that's something I would not want to happen, right?
Yep.
So for me, for the team at large, it's always creating an impact. And yeah, so we are not driven by labels or any taglines for now, or never will be.
Yeah. Uh, and this in the startup Twitter scene, there's a lot of talk about bootstrapped and not bootstrapped businesses. You'll be a funded company, okay? You're not funded yet, but you'll ultimately, because it's not scalable without that, and you want
Yeah,
P-score to be everywhere. So it can't be
yeah,
possible, and you have to grow at such a pace that it can't be bootstrapped. Of course, you can't keep reinvesting your profits, and it's not very scalable. But of course, I know you respect Nitin Kamath a lot, and like the
yeah,
scale at which they've built Zerodha, and like the
yeah.
pace at which they've built Zerodha, and it's of course exceptional. So now, what do you think about bootstrap businesses, and like do you think B2C businesses can be bootstrapped? You'll be ultimately, you're not exactly B2C, but you're still very a business scaling company, right? You're a
Yeah.
B2B, but at scale. So
Yes, yes.
what do you
So
think about
Aryan,
this?
see, this is how it works, right? And this is when I feel like, why do people say bootstrap versus funded? Bro, this is not any Godzilla versus King Kong, right? Why do they even say that? See, the process for building a company is different for everyone. Principles are the same. You have to be customer obsessed. You have to see the future. You have to be a culture of people. But principles are same. Process is different. It's never who's versus what. It's always what works for you. Let's say now you want to grow slowly, you wanted to grow over the time, and you're not willing to get equity in your company. Bootstrap might be the right fit for you. You have to see what fits your values, right? And another interesting fact I'll tell you about about funding is that if you're an internet company, I believe you have to get funded to grow at scale. And the most common point between bootstrap and funded companies people don't talk about is they stick on the racetrack. You see Paytm raised money like anything, but see how many years old they are. They're 11 or 12 years old. Same with Byju's, same with Oyo, same with Razorpay, right? Same with every other unicorn. They have stayed on track.
Yep.
And Zero, because they stayed on track, they have got this achievement at scale. So business is not built by bootstrapping or raising money. It's built by staying on track. It's built
Right.
by having super resilience. Greatest example is Snapdeal, right? They had the debt bet for 4 times or 3 times, and every time they just got back. And when was the last time Snapdeal raised money? It was way so many years back. It's like 3 or 4 years back. So my take is, see, bootstrap or funded, it's the way you choose to build. But the one common thing is you have to stay on the track. And capital will accelerate your progress, but it itself is not the solution, right? That's something you also have to understand. Your solution is what you want to do for the customers, what's your moat, and how effective your UBP is, unique bragworthy point. So that's something you have to
Yeah,
understand.
we'll come to that first.
Yeah.
But do you think it's fair to not call a funded startup owner a successful one? So uh, suppose there's a startup owner who he hasn't made money that much as compared to the money they've got in like funding, right? Now, is it fair to call that person not a successful one? Suppose
Uh,
there's
yeah,
someone like Kunal Shah. Okay, suppose he didn't
yeah,
have free charge. Suppose he only
yeah,
started credit, and
yeah,
their revenue is obviously not that much as compared to the
yeah,
amount they've raised. So
yeah.
is raising is like, okay, Kunal Shah says himself that a, a, a amount raised should not be, or if you're fundraising, that should not be celebrated. Instead, a
Exactly.
startup
Yeah.
success should be celebrated, like how they've
Yeah.
accelerated their growth and stuff. But yeah, I
Yeah.
want your opinion on this.
So, first of all, see, like everyone has their own definition of success, right? Siddhartha has its own metric, Cred has its own metric, Razorpay or Paytm or any other company has their own metric out there. And calling a funded founder not a successful founder is not supervised, because raising money is not easy in our country. It's super tough. It's And what people assume is, they see Shark Tank, they binge watch it for all the 10 seasons out there. They think, this is what we do, one two lines, and this is the equity we want, and this is our valuation, and this is how much we're raising. Bro, that's just a TV show, right? Things don't work in reality. Just for the people who are hearing this, after even your deal is done, the amount of time it takes for the money to come in your account is months, not days. It's months. Okay, so raising money in our country is super hard. And if you're raising money, it's because someone is believing in your values, in your vision, and it's a great moral support. Okay, it's not an achievement, but it's a moral support. Someone is putting money in you because they've trusted you. And of course, it should not be celebrated. It should not be given the main center and the hype also. The main hype, see, someone like Nitin from zero deserves all the hype, boss. He didn't raise one rupee and built such a $1 billion company. And at the same time, someone like Vijay Shekhar Sharma from Paytm also deserves all the praise, because you've built a Paytm wallet and they're 10 years old and they're doing a lot of things. They also deserve the praise. And you can't just assume a success or define a success by the cash flow, right? They're red or green. You can't just say that just because of their cash flow. That's super unfair. Yeah, the value they have created is super immense. So define someone's success based on the value they have created. It's
And how well
not by how
they've
much money they've.
eh, how well they've scaled, how well they've built the business. Uh,
Yes.
People don't understand that these businesses take time. Okay.
Yeah.
And these founders don't come out and tell you their real business model. Okay. Paytm, you
Yeah.
don't know how Paytm can monetize itself. You don't know how WhatsApp can monetize itself. You
Yeah.
don't know how Clubhouse will monetize itself. So
Yeah.
judging a business just because what you're looking or what you're using right now, and like obviously big business has different plans ahead. Of course, I'm
Yeah.
not going
Yeah.
to talk about them, but these are amazing plans. And like the thing that these like something like a cred, I don't know, I really believe in, like, once it's listed, it would be one of the top Nifty 50 companies. I'm pretty sure about that. Cred ho gaya, Paytm, all
Yeah.
these big giants are going to be India's
Even
topmost
Oyo.
companies.
Even
Even
Oyo is doing a phenomenal job.
Oyo is kind of kept in the dark because it's not an internet company. People don't think of it as an internet company. I don't know why. I've
Exactly.
spoken,
Yeah.
yeah, because it's everywhere. You can see their board, and you can see that there there is a physical entity. Um,
Yeah.
and okay, so there are a lot of my friends who are I'll call them entrepreneurs. They're not exactly
Hmm.
entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
They're like, हम funding raise कर लेंगे, अब इसके बाद we'll exit. Like that exit thing is very important for them. And I told them that if you're not in love with the thing, if of course
Mm.
exit is not a problem, okay, you should exit
Mm.
if you want to build something else, or if you're getting a good offer, or there are many reasons, right? Uh,
Yeah.
but if you're in love with the product, you'll stay there
Yeah.
for long. Like something like Kevin Systrom did. He stayed with Instagram for so long because he was in love with the product, right? Now, what do you think about exits, and what advice do you want to give to these entrepreneurs? Of course, they
Uh.
some of them have amazing business models, okay, and I've like
Yeah.
they are doing great, and they'll ultimately do great. But still, their motive, or all their motive in their mind, is to exit or have money out of it. So, what would you tell them?
Yeah, so there are two ways of ending up a business, right? No, not certainly ending up a business. For any investor, there are two things, and it's super okay to say that you want to give an exit or you want to get merged or acquired. It's super cool to say, boss. It's all right because you've built a value and someone is willing to buy. That's a great
Exactly.
validation. So there are two things, right? And either an IPO, you go to the public market, or you sell your company to someone. Okay, there's an M&A there. So one of the advice which I would give is, don't start your company because you want to get acquired, or don't start your company because you want to go to an IPO. Start because you love to deal with the problem, or you love to solve it. One of the advices I was given when I started up Aryan was that, Arihant, if you are being led by money in your company, and if it's the money which is leading you every day, once money stops coming into the company, you'll be the first person to exit. Otherwise, if it's the passion and the love for the problem which you're solving, and that's something which is keeping you up every day, no matter money is coming or going, you will be still in the company. You will be still
Right.
leading the company. So make sure what's driving you, right? And I know no I know many people, they see in your story that this startup got acquired by $300 million. They'll be like, maybe a tech startup start karunga. Good things
Yeah.
don't work like that. They've gone through a process. You want to get acquired, you want to go to an IPO, you have to embrace the process. If you're not going through the process, bro, that's super tough for you.
And the best part about startup is the process is different for everyone. You can't
Exactly.
stick
Yeah.
the same model for everything because I keep telling this to a lot of my friends that have you ever seen a company be similar to another company and they're like Zomato या Swiggy तो है ना मैं बोला लेकिन still उसके अलावा है कोई so and if you can't see differentiations in companies that means there is a lot of differentiation in businesses and every company is different from another company so when you build a company it has to be different and the process they're going to follow is different you can't be like humna se bootstrap hi karenge like that's not up to you man that's up to your business model like how do you want to build it
Exactly.
Kunal Shah talks a lot about not having ads he doesn't like ads like ads in general you must have watched his
Yeah.
video on ad tech but
Yeah.
someone asked him, someone in his product team that I was talking to, that why do you do ads? And he said, because in India, unless you show your brand name in front of people's eyes a lot and on TV and on the big screen and everywhere, they're
Yeah.
not going to trust you that much. Paytm has built that
Exactly. Yeah.
trust. And if you're a fintech, you have to build that trust. Um,
Yeah.
so what do you think about ads?
See,
Basically.
that's what I tell people, right? Many people assume they have to do ads for growth. No, you don't have to do ads for growth. You need to do ads for awareness. Awareness and growth are completely different things. Okay, you need to have something, a unique thing, a secret sauce in your company or your organization or anything, whatever you pursue in your skill, that people start talking about you. You need to have that special sauce where people will be like, bro, what the heck are you doing there? Come join this guy, he's doing something very efficient.
Right.
Come join this person. That's where people are actually referring you. And referring is not you sharing your referral link everywhere. You have to do something super unique, which will attract people, and your growth is super organic in nature.
That's
You
the
you should do
UBP.
ads.
That's the
Yes, that's
UBP.
called unique. Yeah, that's called as unique bragworthy point. And you have to do ads. I'm an advocate. You have to do ads, but for awareness. You expecting to do an IPL ad and expecting 3 lakh downloads is foolish. Okay, you expecting to do an ad and to get awareness among 5 million people or 10 million people is super wise, because an advertisement has to give awareness. That's the core thing about advertisements, right? And advertisements are there to build a conversation. They're not built for directions. I'll give a great example. Any advertisements which you see, most of the advertisements build a conversation in a group. Let's say the greatest example can be Zomato's memes or Zomato ads or thread ads. They always build conversations among people. Unacademy ads builds a lot of conversation among people, among the families, and that's where it gets translated, right? It's like a network effect again. I don't get what this advertisement is, so I ask Aryan. Aryan goes and ask, will go and ask his team members, and his team members will ask these people, so on and so forth. That's how ads has to be done. You should not expect growth out of ads. You have to expect awareness.
Makes sense. Uh, and if you think that ads are coming to you and you're not getting affected by them, then you're wrong because that's the psychological hook they put in their ads. Master was Steve
The
Jobs.
thing, yeah,
Steve
the
Jobs
thing
was a
about ads is,
masterpiece. Mhm. Yeah,
yes, yes, he was right. It was right. And one of the common things I have seen in ads is they build a lot of frequency between the brand and the person who's watching it. So they bombard them with ads, which builds familiarity. And once the familiarity is built, you trust them. You trust them like crazy, right? Let's say someone in your circle says, bro, should I trust Cred or not? We automatically say that, yeah, Cred ka ad came in IPL. They're a big brand. You should
वो
trust them.
द्राविड वाला ad है वो इंदिरा
Yeah,
नगर का गुंडा हो
exactly,
that
right?
builds trust.
So, yeah, it builds trust.
Let's talk about UPP for a while. Okay, what is unique brag-worthy point, and why is unique selling point not a very important thing now? Is it important? Is it important? Unique
Uh,
selling point.
s- Unique selling point is something I've read in my school days. It's all about UVP and UBP. UVP is unique value proposition, the one thing which differentiates you from other people and why those other people cannot adopt it. Okay. UBP is something I have come across last year, ending. I think I got to see this video by Kunal. He's the creator of Delta 4 theory and UBP.
UPP.
That unique bragworthy point, that it's super important for internet companies to have. That's what creates network effects, right? I'll tell you a great example which Kunal said. He took an example of IRCTC and offline and online booking. Back before an app came in or internet came in, we all used to go to the lines, and our parents used to go in the lines and stand for a very long time and book tickets, right? And now we have IRCTC app where you can book and pay for tickets like within minutes. And now what happens with UBP is all the people who are using offline ticketing this the online people who are using this ticketing platform will shout at the online offline people. They're saying, bro, what the heck are you doing? Come join this app because you can build things, or you can get your things done efficiently. So
Yeah.
every time there's a UBP product, those consumers tend to shout at the old school guys
Right.
who are with the old process. Now let's say your grandparents start going on the roads for a cab or auto. What would you say? Ola hai na, Uber hai na, why don't you do that?
Mhm.
It's automatically you're screaming because that's something super efficient in nature. And in human psychology also, in human behavior also, since many decades and centuries, we all tend to shout at what's efficient. We share what's efficient, right? So that's the whole UBP theory.
So it does not have to be something which is it has to be something which is brag worthy. It does not have to be something very
Yeah,
insanely cool or something. But if it's insanely cool, then also people talk a lot about it. I saw this video. It was a reaction video to Kunal Shah, and I don't know, he was a very intelligent man. For the first time, I saw a very good reaction video. Okay, so he said that Dub Smash built a UBP, very strong UBP. Okay,
yeah,
but it failed like hell. Like once
yeah,
that thing was over for them, it failed like hell. So he said that what Dubsmash couldn't do is build a platform to keep the people there. They tried
yeah,
everything, but they failed heavily. And then TikTok came in, they started this thing and they took away the market. They started this flow of content, and the thing you never expect, the thing you
yeah,
you are someone from your neighborhood dancing. You never expect that,
yeah,
and it has a stream. The next thing has, so they made that platform. But that means you need to, I mean, UBP is one thing, but you need to
yeah.
build successive UBPs, right? Uh,
Exactly, right. You have to build something a very good, stable, and efficient product, which people would love to do or use it. And if you're failing people every time through your product, the tolerance level goes down. Yes, you might have the greatest UBP, but you need to have a very good tolerance level. Whenever there's a UBP product, people tend to have a very good tolerance level. But as you keep failing them constantly and start disappointing them, they will leave the platform. They'll jump for any other alternative. Greatest example is Twitter Spaces. Twitter Spaces glitch every time, right? It's the UBP, but we have a high tolerance level. Just because we space glitch ho gaya, we say conversation closed. We don't say conversation is closed, right? We create a new room.
mm,
Just because space is glitched, we don't deactivate our Twitter account,
right.
right?
Yeah.
We have a high tolerance level. Same with our girlfriend, right? Let's our girlfriend's like scolding us all the time. She's pissing us off. We don't say, bro, it's done between us. We don't say that, right? We also have a high tolerance level
Oh,
towards relationships.
yeah. Um, with Twitter Spaces, I think it's something like community. Like community is
Yeah,
their UBP. And
yeah,
it's very easy to build communities on Twitter for having
yes,
a friends, having new friends there. What Clubhouse did, they tried it, but you can't take. A lot of people have told me, भाई ये Twitter space glitch बहुत ज़्यादा होता है. Now, why don't you use Clubhouse? मैं बोला, because I don't have my community there. Now, whenever I start
yeah,
my Clubhouse session, I don't get a lot of people there because these people, the people I want to talk to, are not there. And normal people also start spaces, right? Even if it's a private account and stuff. So people want their community to be there. This community sticks. A lot of people say Avalon nahi chalega. मैंने बोला, bro, they've built strong
Mhm.
communities there, individual communities. Like those people are going to stay there. They're not going to switch to Discord again, even if
Yeah,
it does not work nicely, although it does.
yeah,
Yeah, that's there. There's one thing I wanted to ask you. Do you think that the next generation of problems that we are solving are going to be very complex, or should we start solving complex problems? So let me give you an example. Freecharge was started to solve a very basic problem that you can pay your phone bills through your mobile phone, right? I
yeah,
used to go to this Vodafone store to put in my card, and like it was like an ATM machine. Like that was also a very efficient system. It was efficient, more efficient than going to a person and recharging, right?
yeah.
Uh, then I had to, like, I got it in my phone and I was surprised that this is amazing. Every
Yeah.
time you build efficient system, people don't go back. But do you think the next efficient system are going to be very complex, or you have to build something very complex or solve very? Do you think simple things have already been solved, and the next problems are very difficult or complex?
See, the greatest problem is finding the problem, identifying a problem, right? Let's say now we're doing a call. There are a lot of problems in the call itself. There's super inefficiencies in the problem in the call itself. We just don't identify them because we're super busy with our daily lives and our lifestyle and what we do in general. And see, the problem is you can solve. The thing is you can solve any problem in the world. It's
Yep.
just about the time. Is the market ready to adopt? Let's say you create the best WhatsApp company, like you create the best alternative of WhatsApp, like 10 times better.
Ah,
But is the market ready to adopt to it? That's something you have to ask. Let's say now you say, bro, like I'm building I'll give a greatest example. You say, I'm building something related to cryptocurrency. It's a platform, etc., etc., etc. You say every other thing in the world, but people don't understand. Cryptocurrency is highly dependent on internet. Blockchain is dependent on internet. Our internet penetration rate in our country is 45%. Every company in our country fights for that 80 million audience. Yes, there are 400 million active users, of course, but the ability to pay, like, only 80 million people have,
yeah,
right?
and
We all fight for the
successful crypto accounts in our country are around like 1.2 crores only.
yeah, exactly, right. So you have to understand, so will you wait for the market to go big, or will you launch a product before the market is ready and you burn cash? What you want to do? The greatest thing I would do if I was building a crypto related product is I would focus on increasing the market size first. I would build my own community or own initiative which will adopt people to use crypto, and then I would create my own platform or an exchange to bring those people on the platform. That's the way you do it, right? You can't build something for a premature market. You're automatically in front of the end.
Mhm.
You will burn a lot of cash if the market is not ready for it. I'll give a great example, right? So let's say like fraud, a thing which happened to my brother last year, wasn't that was the moment when it caught my attention. I was When I used to sell something to people, they used to ask me, why should I trust you? I thought, bro, is super generalized when everyone will ask you because you don't have a portfolio, etc., etc. I saw many people losing money to fraud people before that, but it never caught my attention. But this time it specifically got my attention when it happened to my brother. And then when we looked at the stats and trends and patterns, we thought, bro, this problem is at very peak rate. This is the right time to solve. Let's say people would have asked me, like, someone would have solved like 5 6 years back when internet was just coming into picture. People would not have valued that. People will now value this problem because it's growing faster than e-commerce.
Right.
So the market is ready is what I believe for this problem, and eventually anything you want to build for the future, the market has to be ready. Otherwise you're causing a severe cash burn because people will not understand the value of it.
Right. And the thing that we saw in 2020, that a lot of demat accounts opened. People,
Yeah,
like these new brokerage companies, saw an opportunity. They started, like, I don't know how many brokerages are there now in the country, and they
yeah,
like even if it only went from 2% to around 3.7% market participation in India, people pounced upon that opportunity because like that much is also a lot of people in India. um, that's the thing you said, that enable people and increase the market size and then do business with them. That's exactly what we are thinking about FinFlow, right? um,
yeah. That's what advice I gave to you guys. So yeah.
yeah, yeah. And we're actually built completely on advice. One guy came to us and he was like, why are you building an Alexa skill? Why aren't you just making an mobile app? There was Malav Shah. And I
Yeah,
was like, oh shit, why not a mobile app? And
yeah,
that idea, like if you talk to smart people, you're a smart person. Like, you should take that compliment. So if you talk to smart people, your idea gets evolved, right? And no, again, coming back to market participation, and we saw that if you can increase the market size at this level, in about 20 30 years, we'll have 40% 50% people in this country
exactly. Yeah,
going to the markets. And like
yeah,
if you can do it right, people are not doing right. And I think there's only one company, Zerodha, and Grow is now
yeah.
coming up with that like that learning thing. But yeah, I mean, that's what I was building this for myself. And
Mhm, yeah,
I wasn't even thinking beyond like what a market size is. I didn't even know like
yeah,
you have to see the market size. And I didn't know uh, internet user and internet penetration in India. Internet penetration is good, but internet user is less, and
yeah,
high paying internet user is less. So
yeah.
but yeah, ultimately it's
And
India. You can. Mhm.
And
usage.
whatever you're talking about, internet is the first level, right? Many people don't know how much is the penetration rate. If you go to a random college guy and ask him what is the internet penetration rate, they'll answer, because everyone around them is using internet now, they'll say 80% or 85%, which is not the case. Now, many people, many entrepreneurs get stuck at the first level. That's internet rate. They don't go to the second level, which is very important. The average income of Indian household. You might have internet, but what if people don't have money to spend? What services you're going to offer? And that's why I always keep shouting on platforms that a business of opportunity is always a hit compared to a business of spending, right? That's why Misho is super hit in our country. That's why MLM marketing is hit. Even though many scams are happening around it, people would still have to go for it because it gives them an opportunity to make money.
Right.
So that's my take on the internet and the whole household income thing.
You know, there's one another thing, that what you're doing is solving a very good problem and making people trustworthy. And I think startups of the future in India are going to be good people, trying to help people. Okay. And I think that's that moral thing, that giving a good moral purpose, or I think that's going to ignite a new generation of startup owners. I'm not talking about social entrepreneurs. Okay.
Yeah,
We're not social entrepreneurs. Ultimately, we're all doing it for money. But the, what do you call it, mission statement, I actually don't know any startup terms, man. I get
yeah.
confused. But the purpose, your individual purpose or your company's mission statement, they're two separate things, I know. But ultimately, what goal you're going to achieve is like a high tax paying country, a high trustworthy
Yeah,
country, people
yeah,
who are going to go about doing business in the correct way. And
yeah.
once that happens, what do you think is a change in not just Indian entrepreneurship, but what do you think is, what kind of change will that bring to India? If suppose, I'm pretty sure this is going to happen. If suppose big business is very successful, okay, B score is all over around. Now, what kind of India do you imagine?
So we have seen from ages, right? We have seen from industrial revolution that for any collaboration, people have to come on common grounds, and you don't collab. You only compete with other people because you're not on the common grounds all the time. And let's say you both come on common grounds, there's a collaboration happening. And I think when businesses have the common ground as B score 750 plus B score, they'll collaborate, and soon it will become a collaborative society. Now we are a competitive society, right? Every day we're competing against someone. But when you have a common ground to take on, you will always collaborate. And that's what happens in Silicon Valley, right? Every entrepreneur in Silicon Valley collaborates like crazy. That's how they become super rich. That's how they become super wealthy.
Yeah.
So I think the door to collaborate is to come on common grounds, and I think that will happen. That's what we envision for sure. But I'm not, see, I don't want to just say words because I wanted to say it. We see it happening, but let's see what future has for us.
Right. Awesome, man. Um, so, like, you face this fraud. A lot of entrepreneurs don't face a lot of problems, and still
Yeah,
they make amazing businesses. Like famously, Kunal Shah said that I never used a prepaid account, so I didn't
yeah,
recharge my account with a prepaid number or something, and still I built
yeah,
free charge. Now,
yeah,
if an entrepreneur doesn't have that particular problem, how do you think will they
yeah.
figure out problems of the society, and how do you think these people will solve it? Because um, a lot of people don't face those problems and still they want to solve them. Like I won't face a problem of uh, a person living in a village, but I'd love to solve their problem in some way in the future. Now, how do you think people should approach this? Like you must have spoken to a lot of people, right, before starting big business.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
a fraud to your brother was just one step towards it. Now,
yes.
how to go about it? If you're a new entrepreneur, how would you go about it?
See, it's never, when you're building a company, it's never has to be a personal experience, right? It can be an individual experience which triggers you and you start building something for someone. So what you can do is, if it's super fine if it's not your personal problem, but you have to constantly keep talking to your customers, and you have to understand the frequency of the problem and the kind of impact the problem is having. So again, taking the example of big business, right? The frequency is super high, of course, but the impact it has, even they lose 200 rupees, the impact is 10x. They tell to 10, 20 people that they lost money through this platform or through this business. So I think you should figure out the frequency and the impact it's having. And yeah, it's super fine for you personally to not face the problem, but at the same time, you have to talk to your customers. We in our company make sure I'm at least talking to 5 customers in a day, So I would recommend all the entrepreneurs out there to talk to 5 customers in a day. And the best way to beat a monopoly or any tech giant like YouTube, Google, is that you talking to customers is something which will differentiate. You can start your own search engine. Let's say for a great example, right? A few days back, we wanted to reach out to someone from Google Cloud or Google search engine, Google Ads. We could not figure out anyone because a lot of time to find a contact. Let's say now you build a search engine and you're talking to your customers every day. You're understanding what they want. Of course you will be successful because you're doing what your customers want, right? You're understanding their problem, you're understanding their narration. That's giving you insights, and you build a company based on those insights. So
Right.
you talk to your customers, your game is already stable.
Right. And what if someone is building so big that people are not facing this problem yet? Okay. Uh, Something like a space startup. I know two of my friends are building space startups, and of course they have no idea how they're going to go about it. But they're amazing engineers, so they think that they can build a business. I'm like kind of supporting them, but like I really want your advice in space. Problems are something which we might face in the future. Somebody is trying to solve climate change. Okay, these are problems that we're going to face in the future, and we don't have customer insights because we don't
See,
know those
see,
aliens. but
one,
but
one, one thing, yeah, yeah, oh yeah, I get that. So see, one thing you have to understand is whatever you create, someone is going to consume.
Mhm.
It might be for the future, it might be 30 years later, 40 years later. Like whatever you're creating, there will be a consumer out there who will be consuming the product or the service which you give them. Okay,
Right.
ultimately there'll be a consumer. And for you, it's super important to figure out who's your consumer before you launch anything or before you start building anything, right? So ask them to figure out their own consumers. Who are their consumers? Who will be their potential customers, and start talking to them. Ask them, was it a frequency? Did they have the problem? And let's say if they're building for the future, the frequency of the problem would be super less. So hence the market size would be less. Now what they can do is they can start increasing the market size, as I told you before, right? The same theory you can apply here. Start spreading awareness, start increasing the market size, and then let after they launch the product like few years down the line, they can use the product.
Right. Like SpaceX does not have a lot of clients, but it has big clients, and they have a market. NASA is their customer. France is their customer, and so you must be somebody is making a product. You must be having consumers, and you got to talk to them.
Andrew, that's not true, right? SpaceX has a lot of customers. We assume, SpaceX is just a company who sends rockets, who's a transportation company, like space transportation company. They send you to Mars. That's not true. They're doing a lot of things. They're doing internet for the world.
Yeah.
And every time Elon says, you
Starlink.
ask Elon, like, the Starlink, yeah, they're doing Starlink, right? And they're doing the star advertisements now. They're advertising through those satellites and etc. Whatnot. And every time an interviewer, ask Elon Musk a question saying that, hey, why are you doing this? He says, because our customer said that, because the customer said this. He never says NASA told us or any other entity told us. They want to be a company, like they want to be the wholesome space company where they can do advertisements, where they can do internet, or where they can do transportation, where they can do food, they can do any other thing in the world. Now
Right.
what's ever happening on earth, they want to do it for the space.
Space.
As simple as it is.
Right.
Yeah.
It is a complex thing to solve, but they're still doing it in a very easy way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you think this notion is correct that business is quite simple? So whenever I've heard you talk about big business, it's just a plain simple line that you explain it. Whenever I've heard Kunal Chak talk about credit, he's like one simple line that explains it. So
Yeah.
uh, if it's just a simple line that explains your business, why don't you think others can build copies of it? And I mean, I don't have this question. I know the answer, but a lot of people have this question. Like, but I keep telling them that, would you launch another LinkedIn? Can you become another LinkedIn? But can you take away their clients? Can you launch another Instagram? And like, you can make clones of Instagram. You can make a tool like Instagram, but can you take away their clients? That's the question. So, what do you think about this?
So see, like even you pitching your idea in one line, it's super tough. I have pitched to so many people. I failed at pitching many times, and then we got this one line. It wasn't overnight. To explain your company in one line, it takes an eternity. It took us like 11 months to understand what we're doing, like to tell in a one line, right?
Yeah.
And we are not experiencing content or speaking a lot. So the first task is telling your idea in one line is super tough. And one thing I've observed is any fintech space, financial tech space, or any tech space, you can tell what you're doing to the public openly, because they know that your idea, they can copy your idea, but they don't know the process of executing it. They don't understand the process. Let's say now you say, this is what we at FinFloww do. This is our audio app, etc., etc., etc. But do people know the process? Heck no. It will take an eternity for them to understand the process. If someone says I'll build a company like Paytm, I'll build a credit card company. Let's say they'll say I'll build a credit, something like credit. Do they know the process? Do they know how to connect with RBI? Do they know how to get the vendors? It's super tough, bro. The process is super tough. And since you're copying someone's vision and someone's idea and someone's mission, you will give up in between because you're not aware of how the process looks like.
Right. That's there. Uh, I mean, if you copy another company, you can get your own clients, but you can't get their clients, especially when that company has already solved a very particular problem, when they've already built a community, when they've already built stickiness onto their platform. Uh, there's another thing I wanted to ask you. If a business, if an internet business acquires a lot of customers, okay, and they don't have a business model, now, do you think this thing can survive? I personally think that if you are getting niche based customers in the right way and you're not charging them and you're raising funds, of course you can't raise funds without a business model, but imagine if people are giving you funds just because you being you, uh, so and without a business model in the end. Do you think this is sustainable, and do you think this can be done if you have like 1 million downloads, 2 million downloads, so many people coming onto you?
See, if you're doing something where like millions of people are downloading your app, and there's so many people coming and they're using it, and the average engagement time is super high, then I think you're solving a good problem. Yes, you don't have the model ready, you don't understand how you get revenue. Revenue you can get some other ways if you have an efficient growth. So
Right.
I think you can build a business out of it if you have good number of customers, right? End of the day, you and me, after building the product or while building the product, think of what? Having customers.
Customers.
And since that internet company already has customers, they can become a fintech company, or they can become a entertainment company. They can become anything in the world they want. They can lend money to people also. That's the best business model. So they can do anything.
Right. And what do you think about pivoting? If your first thing is not very successful or it doesn't clear your goals, what do you think about pivoting?
I think that's something one should do, right? So basically, let's say your solution is not working, they quit. They don't give it a try, right? So what you can do is, if something is not working and going in the right way, start talking to customers a lot, and then eventually get insight. Then you'll understand. Okay, now this problem should not be solved in this way. We can have another solution, and that's when you pivot. And every company has to pivot some of the time, right, to stay updated and to serve the current audience base. A great example is Razorpay. Razorpay is not a payment gateway anymore. Even payment gateways are disrupted in few years. They have a neobank top of it. They have payroll top of it. They have
Yeah,
payouts top of it, right? So they've already pivoted there. So you have to understand every internet company pivots over the time.
for sure, for sure. And it has to like look at Netflix. What was Netflix 20 years ago? I think 20 years ago it
Yeah.
started, you know, and now what it is. So you have to build successive UVPs, and you have to build keep solving problems to survive. You can't be like we are this and we'll be like this for forever, right?
Yeah, you can't do that, right? You can't really do that. So great example is again Amazon didn't sell those Redmi phones or iPhones or laptops. The first thing it sold was books. Yeah, so you can pivot over the time, and that's what happens, right? That's what the same thing happened with Zerodha. When it launched, it never said 0 rupees for equity. It came over the time. They pivoted there. In 2015 they launched their own Kite mobile and web app. That's when they pivoted again. So it's, if you stay on the racetrack again over the time, you will pivot. Of course, let's say B score wasn't the first thing we wanted to do. B score came because we stood on the racetrack, and
Yeah,
that was the first pivot point for us.
right. Um, and yeah, the last thing I wanted to ask you was, what after big business? Like, I know big business is going to be successful. Big business is going to change India in a very particular way. But you must be having other ambitions and other kind of businesses in the future. And I'm pretty sure you're gonna be building more of them. Now, what after big business? And what is the industry you want to think beyond this fintech space you already targeted?
I love fintech. See, Aryan, this is how it is. I know at this season, I have to build a company which is valuable and which is impactful. I know that for sure. This is what I'm going to do in this season. I'm pretty unsure what I'm going to do in the next season. I'm being pretty honest at it, right? This is something I'll be pursuing for a few years. I'll be building a company, we are successful, and we help a lot of people. That's super great.
Right.
And if you ask me something I want to do outside of big business, something else I want to pursue is, if I would have been given an opportunity, I would rather focus on increasing the market size. I would not start again building new features or initiatives. I would more focus on helping households to make more money, become wealthy, help women to get educated, help women to get opportunities and workforce opportunities in our country. That's something I would do. Help women entrepreneurs. That's something I would do. So these are the few things I have. I wanted to do always through a big business initiative itself. So these are the few things which I would love to do. Other few things apart from big business, this is something it's running in my mind all the time. That's something called as marriage or event marketplace. So that's the most common thing in our country, right? So that's an idea again running in my brain always. Something for the teens is something again running in my brain. But big business is something I'll pursue. This was my final day of my college. So big business is something I would love to do for a few years, no matter how the result looks like. In next season, I don't know what I will be, but for now, this is how it's going to be.